Hey, good morning, everyone. Been a while since I've hopped on YouTube. In fact, I think it's been about 2 weeks since I've done a video talking about any severe weather in the state of Nebraska. It just really hasn't warranted a video, but I'm hopping on today because we now have a slight level 2 out of 5 risk that has been expanded across more of Nebraska. In fact, most of the state is really within that slight risk. And what a slight risk usually means is scattered severe storms will be possible. And largely the driving force to this tonight is a cold front journeying through the state this evening, in which isolated tornadoes, large hail, damaging wind are all going to be possible beyond about 5 p.m. So there's the timing and even the threats that we're looking at. You see this slight risk even as I get my arrow out. Goes right up to Lincoln, and then we really drop, and we're on the edge of that drop to the marginal level 1 out of 5 risk, meaning maybe a few severe storms still trying to linger through southeast Nebraska tonight. But the main event going to be through central areas of Nebraska, and we'll show you some of the timing of that as we break down each of the threats in category. Initially, an isolated tornado or two can't be ruled out. These would be the brief kind in central Nebraska, back to the south and west, still largely watching southwest Nebraska too for that potential for this evening. Large hail on the table, but you don't see any black hash marks. That's good. I think we're generally thinking an inch, maybe a little bit bigger than that, maybe golf ball size hail, inch and a quarter. And you'll see this doesn't quite make it to Lincoln, the higher probability, but damaging wind does. So this actually turns to be kind of an initial isolated tornado, large hail threat, and then more of a wind threat as the night progresses, as we can kind of see these events do. As they lose kind of the heating of the day, they become more linear storms too with time. And you can see that damaging wind threat kind of goes right up to Lincoln. Omaha's not included in the higher probabilities or the slight risk. Omaha just in a marginal risk. But let's time out today. I have this at 7 a.m. because that's what I was using for the morning show. This hasn't changed from the morning show if you were up for the morning show, but the risk for severe weather changed just a little bit from yesterday. Again, that slight risk expanded a little bit more toward Lincoln. But here's 5, 6 o'clock this evening. So the cold front, a strong one at that, will be the focus and the feature of these thunderstorms this evening. A lot of storms kind of popping up here in northeast back towards central Nebraska, and initially watching what storms too are forming by themselves early on for that isolated hail threat, isolated tornado threat with the hail threat as well. There's 8 p.m. I think between about 8 and 9 p.m. these are closing in on the Tri-Cities, but you'll notice too how the storms have more of an east-west orientation before they come swinging through southeast Nebraska, and then they kind of turn to be more north-south, which is kind of interesting to see. And really the timing of this for southeast Nebraska and largely in Lincoln may not be until after midnight, so this may be something that wakes us up, but again, these storms are supposed to be weakening as they move in, with more still some gusty winds, some hail with maybe the strongest cells. The tornado threat stays off to our west, so we're not too worried about that in Lincoln tonight. And then the risk for, honestly, some excessive rainfall. Look at that rainfall into Tuesday and lingering into the afternoon, some mist and drizzle, I think. So really, this goes until Tuesday night. And I think we're looking at widespread totals, half an inch, inch and a half, but some may see pockets of 2 to 3 inches. And that in a short time span may lead to some minor areas seeing some flash flooding. Change that to state view, sorry about that. But this yellow medium risk that you see over all this area with these thunderstorms being efficient rainmakers, maybe some urban areas, some areas that are not known to hold a lot of water if a lot comes in a short amount of time, maybe we're looking at some scattered flash flooding tonight into tomorrow. So keep that in mind. Areas that are more vulnerable, and maybe you think of typically to see some of that in largely central Nebraska with a lot of rain. So that's really going through the risk for severe weather tonight. Stay weather aware. Of course, we're going to be tracking this through tonight. Rusty's working the shows this evening. Houston will kind of be covering our shifts in between until I come in the morning, and I'm not really anticipating much to be seen by my shift tomorrow morning. But we will have some more rain, maybe some weaker thunderstorms tomorrow with no threat of severe weather for Tuesday. And you see the temperatures come crashing down with this cold front, 90s to 60s. And 70s the rest of this week. So, of course, be sure to like and subscribe. I post these videos from time to time when they're needed for severe weather in Nebraska and just to get you up to date on the latest. So that is the latest as of Monday morning for the risk for severe weather, Monday evening into Tuesday early morning, June 2nd to June 3rd of 2025.